next speaker and the next topic is going to cover things of how we can disconnect without completely disconnecting. And it's called Balanced Living in a Hyperconnected World, Mastering Digital Habits with Moderation. So with that, whether it's setting boundaries, leveraging technology for good, or simply just taking a digital detox, this session is packed with actionable advice for navigating today's digital landscape. Please put your hands together for our speaker, Srihari Prahalad, founder of Spry Solutions.
The topic I'm going to talk is pretty heavy. Before I start the topic, I'd like to take my phone and put it away. And I'm doing this as a demonstration of how you could do that as well. Captain, your phone. So how you could do it as well. So that means you're also paying attention to me. And that also means you're not insulting my intelligence. Yeah. So I'm going to take my phone. Put it inside the box. And I am timing it to 25 minutes is what they have given me. And I tap, and the phone gets locked for the next 25 minutes. There you go. The only way I can take this phone out is to break this box. All right, so now that I am free from the phone, now let's have some conversations about digital habits. How many of you think that you are addicted to the phone? All of you. Okay, you just made my job easy. Except all the ladies here. None of you are addicted. One of you is seeing the phone. I understand that. That's all right. That's all right. But you ain't addicted, are you? No. All right. So by the end of this talk, I'm going to prove that you're all addicted. All right? Okay. Digital habits are seeping into our lives in a very subtle manner. And I'm here to talk about how it is seeping into our lives. And what can we do about it? The first step is to recognize that it is seeping into our lives. So I'll take some examples of what digital habits actually are, right? Internet browsing, social media, emails, streaming content, right? Gaming, fitness tracking, virtual socializing, messaging apps. This list can go on and on and on and on. Make no mistake, I'm only showing you about 10% of the stuff that we are used to looking at our phones for. This list is pretty long, and it doesn't take long for those 10 hours that you're awake and your mind is active, you give away 6 to 8 hours to these screens, right? This is a nice graphic here which talks about how couples met from 1930 all the way to 2024. And I want you to notice something right on top there. So their families and friends was about the only connection point that we had back in those days where you would have met your wife or your husband, your previous wife or your previous husband, the current wife or the current husband, whichever phase you are in your lives, right? It used to be friends and co-workers all along. Now, there is something very interesting that happened as soon as we hit 2005 and 6. A gentleman called Mark Zuckerberg came into existence. And when Mark Zuckerberg came into existence, he had the power of God. And he could turn the whole wheel around like God could do. You know, I've been watching this series called Lucifer. How many of you have seen Lucifer? Okay, there are a few hands. Yeah, I feel like Lucifer. So what he could do, none of us could do. He swapped the whole thing around. Now people, 60% of them meet their companions online. I am not standing here to say that's a bad thing. That's an absolutely good thing. You are meeting people of different cultures, which otherwise you wouldn't have had an opportunity to meet face to face at all. So it's absolutely a good thing. But what is the flip side to it is what I'm here to talk about. Digital habits are creeping in. They are subtly creeping in, but they're definitely creeping in. So what's in play here? What I'm going to talk in the next few minutes are very, very, very compelling insights, and they are profound and have shaped the evolution of Sprian, which is the company I've founded, to try and get children away from their phones and adults equally away from their phones. So the brain is a predicting machine. I'm going to play an audio clip. Could you maybe just raise the volume on my laptop? I think the previous one didn't have enough sound on it. If you can just raise the volume a bit, as soon as I click, it's going to play the clip. It's an audio clip, and I'm going to prove to you that the brain is a predicting machine. When I say the brain is a predicting machine, it's not giving that kind of it doesn't have that gravity, because all of you think, yeah, brain is a predicting machine, fair enough, right? But I'm going to try and explain to you the gravity of the statement here, which is the foundation of the firm, right? Now just hear closely, if it's possible, for the volumes to go up. Welcome to Sprian, where you disconnect to reconnect. You probably didn't hear a lot. That's because the audio is crappy. So I'm going to move on to Sprian, where you disconnect to reconnect. Let me move to the next clip here.
It's a bizarre effect. Remember, the only
What do you
sound
hear?
you're hearing is bar with a B.
And now?
What's
now?
remarkable about this illusion is even knowing how it's done doesn't seem to make a difference.
So when he's saying ba, 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 you guys heard ba, right? Right? What are you hearing when it goes back to this part? Ba, right?
It's a bizarre effect.
Now what are you
The
hearing?
only sound you're hearing is bar with a B.
What are you hearing now? Va, va, va. Is that
What's
right?
remarkable
With a
about this
V,
illusion is
right?
even knowing how it's done.
And what you heard earlier
doesn't seem to make a
was
difference.
ba with a B, right? Now, the surprising fact is, it has always been ba. It has never been va. But since you guys are all sitting so far away, I don't know if you can see this, but if you look at the mouth of someone speaking, that's an additional input to your brain. Your brain synthesizes that input in spite of hearing ba, because the brain sees the lips going inward, it assumes and presumes and makes the sound va in its brain, which is non-existent outside of the brain. Now, there's going to be 2-3 statements I'm going to make right now. First of all, the brain is sitting inside your skull, right? Right now, I have so many lights hitting on me. The brain is sitting in a dark place. Do we all understand that? It's sitting in a dark place. If you open the skull right now, there is no floodlight there. There is no stadium, there is no stage, nobody is performing, right? Nobody is talking on stage. But how is it that all these lights that we see here is perceived by a brain? Because the brain is constantly predicting what is the next thing that is going to happen to it based off of the inputs that it gets, even though the inputs outside are completely the opposite. Just like the ba versus the va. They don't exist outside, but your brain predicts. Now, it not only predicts just what it hears, now here's the best part. It predicts emotions. Now, let us say we hear a big bang right now. As I'm talking, there is a big bang outside. Okay? What do you think it could be? Just take guesses. Sorry? A gong? A gong? A lightning strike? They dropped a bottle? What else could it be? A car accident? Fair enough. What else could it be? Have you been in a car accident before? Okay. But it's an important point. I'm going to bring that out. What else could it be? Cutlery dropping, absolutely. I haven't heard anybody here say it could be a gunshot. Exactly. Exactly, Krishnan. You don't expect that, right? But could it be a gunshot? It could be. Why aren't you predicting it? Why isn't your brain predicting a gunshot? No, it has a contextual input that you're sitting in Dubai. It does not happen here. Right? That's a contextual input. She went with an accident because she's gone through an accident. If you haven't gone through that experience, your brain doesn't have a way to predict. Now, let me move it further. Your brain predicts emotions because if you thought it was a gunshot, you would have fear rising out of your gut right now, which none of us have, even though it could have actually been a gunshot. Right? There is a profound insight here that your brain, the only easy way for your brain to work is to predict what's happening next, including your emotion, including fear, including anxiety, including anything and everything your brain produces in itself. And because it does so, habit creeps in. Now I'm coming to this point. All of you have been to a magician show? No? Yeah, you guys must have seen. The rest of you who haven't seen it, I'm sure you've seen it on YouTube or Instagram, right? Ironically, yeah. So, because I haven't seen a magician show in the recent past at all. Since the time of advent of social media, magicians are out of job. They don't work anymore. They're not getting paid anymore. In this conference, they didn't call a magician to perform, right? But each one of you that spoke here, Krishnan, everybody, are a magician in your own rights, right? Now let me explain. What is so unique about a magician show? Magic. What is unique about magic? Why is it captivating you? Yeah? Right. Absolutely, Sultan. You don't know what is coming next. All of a sudden, a bunny comes out of a cap, right? All of a sudden, poof, a beautiful lady, scantily dressed, comes out, right? And all of a sudden, the dress changes. When you're watching a magic show, you want more of it, yes or no? Because there is a sense of awe. There is a sense of something that you're expecting out of the ordinary, right? What is happening when you scroll through Instagram? Sorry? You are expecting something new. Every time you scroll, a new video comes up. What if the video... I don't know of any celebrities to talk about, but what if... By the way, my Instagram account was opened 3 months ago because of my marketing team. Otherwise, I never had one. So I really can't talk to that. But where I see people talk, what if I lose out my favorite character coming up and saying something? Right? And there's a name for it. It's called FOMO, fear of missing out. And now I'd like to call FOGO. It's called fear of going out. You know why? Nobody wants to go out of their houses anymore because they have a world in their pocket, right? So the FOGO has to change to JOGO. You need to have a joy of going out. You need to find the joy of meeting people. That is why the digital habits are creeping in. The reason being, it's a literal magic show in your pocket. Every time you swipe, there is something new. Your brain is anticipating something that it is unable to predict that emotion. When your brain cannot predict that emotion, your brain is constantly being filled with dopamine, and all of you think dopamine is good. Yeah? Does anyone know evolutionarily why dopamine came into existence? Evolutionarily. Does anyone know? Any ideas? Sorry? Yeah, but evolutionarily, yes, sir. Which are good for our survival. That was the point that I was looking for. Evolutionarily, dopamine neurotransmitters in your brain is coming out so that it is signaling to the organism that, hey, you have done something that I love. Keep doing more of it. Here's some dopamine. Take it. Right? And you do it again. Here's some more dopamine. And you do it again. Here's some more dopamine. What is the definition of tolerance in addiction? Can anyone tell me about that? Alcoholism, you take a small peg, you feel the high. After 1 month, what happens? You need 2 pegs to feel the same high. Third day, what happens? You need 4 pegs to feel the same high. What really is happening? You're pushing your tolerance limit to a higher and higher level. That is exactly the definition of addiction, right? If you are not getting satisfied with one swipe, you keep swiping over and over again because your tolerance levels is going up. And this is nothing but akin to addiction, right? Oops. So self-reported, so social media proliferation, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to talk a lot about it. These are all the sad stuff, but someone told me put all the sad stuff in the form of statistics, otherwise nobody in the conference will hear you. They will think you're here to sell your company, make money, and therefore you talking to your competition, nobody will talk. I was told a lot of these things, but then I said, all right, let me still include a statistics slide anyway. So 60% of the people admit to being addicted. In this room, I think this number about is right. Because a lot of you raised your hands, it should probably be between 60 and 70. The rest of them are just not admitting because you're in a crowd. You don't want people to know that, phone is so important to you. Depression and heavy internet use. There is a very high correlation. I'm going to spend a minute about this. There is a medical concept. Again, whatever the DSM manual, is that right? Are there doctors here? Yeah, okay. So you have a DSM manual. So right now, within DSM 6.0, 6.1, whatever the DSM version is, for those of you that don't know, even I don't know about it, it just means that it is a term which goes out there in the United States, and once it goes out there, the rest of the world will say it is a disease. If it doesn't go out there, it can still be a disease, but nobody will do anything about it. No money will be put on it. The rest of the doctors have to fend for themselves. All right. So in DSM, there's a term that's gone in. It's called Facebook depression. So you might be wondering, what has depression got to do with this? Do you know the source of depression? Comparison. Absolutely. Every time you go on the phone and you swipe, what is that self-talk on the back of your mind happening? Be very honest. They have a better life than I do. More likes than I do. They have more friends than I do. Guess what? This guy studied with me. Now he's talking on Health 2.0 conference. Albeit the fact that I might have paid for it. But guess what? What goes out on social media is just the stuff that I want you to know, and I'm trapping you so well in it that all of you fall for it, and you think I have a fantastic life. Come to my house. Right? Okay? Where I'm not wearing the coat. Where I'm not holding my tummy in so tightly so it looks like this in front of all of you, right? Where I'm able to put up a jean and tuck in and still not let my curls come out because I have the suit to cover it up, but it's all curly behind, right? So I'm covering, the suit is a good cover for me. Whenever I go to conferences, I love them because I can eat a lot and still cover up how much I've eaten. Workspace digital overload. That is way too much. Vacation and stress. A lot of people take vacations now, not because they want to, but because in social media, the friend went there. Now I need to go there. That's a fantastic destination. All of you have been posting about Dubai. People have come from the US here, right? What are you doing? You're creating a FOMO to your friends back home. Oh, I came to Dubai, conference was just, but guess what? I went to Burj Khalifa. And then you have so many photographs of that, right? And the more and more you post that, why are you posting this stuff? Really? Why are you posting this stuff? Let's bring some seriousness to the conversation. Why? Is it to boost yourself, Krishnan? Any other answers? Playing catch up with whom? Lucifer? Your peers. So you are putting, so it is a response to the comparison in your brain. Absolutely. The only reason we want our private lives to go public is because we want someone else out there to say, wow, this guy is beautiful, right? Nobody puts a social media post of them crying, or nobody puts a social media of somebody insulting them, or nobody puts a social media where I'm standing here and talking and half of the seats are empty in front of me. But am I going to project that? I'm not going to project that. No, because the camera there is projecting me live, but it's not showing who's sitting in front of me, right? For all I care, I might be talking to chairs. I was just telling Sultan about it. Yeah? But my motivation as a speaker comes from you guys who are willing to listen, right? All right, so why is it important now at this day and age? Just a couple of slides and I'm done. It's important now because for my age, though Alan told that age is in the brain, what you think, but nevertheless, there seems to be time passing. If I consider all of the passage of time, there are 2 or 3 different categories of people. So we have the lost generation. Lost generation are dead and gone. These are the mummies in the pyramids. Yeah. Then we have interbellum, the greatest generation. I don't know why they call that the greatest generation. Maybe because they suffered the most. Then comes the silent generation. They call them the silent generation, maybe because that was a World War time. There was so much of noise. And then there's baby boomer and Gen X and Gen Y. So I am somewhere in Gen Y, Gen X and Y. So I'm a cusp, right? And then comes a very interesting generation called Gen Z. And there is also a very interesting generation called Gen Alpha. And I'm so happy to find one Gen Alpha in my crowd. I want all of you to give him a round of applause. Thanks for coming by to listen to this talk, right? Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they are called digital natives. And it's important to draw out this distinction because in Gen X and Y, we were brought up with what I like to call play-based learning. We would go out and we would play. When you play, there are numerous aspects of behaviorism that falls into play properly. For example, I don't know, a lot of you might not know cricket, but that's what I played when I was a kid because I'm from India. If you were from the States, you would have played what? Football or baseball. There's one more sport where you hit each other up like really bad. What was that? American football. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. So while I play cricket, you know what used to happen? I always liked to bat because you want to whack the ball away. It's like baseball, right? Now, when I try to take batting, I get out. I will never give the bat to anybody else. Even though I get out, I will bulldoze people. I'll bully my way through. I will keep the bat going. I will say, this is mine. I'm not going out, blah, 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 blah. Similarly, like me, there were other people who would do the same thing. What did I learn in the process? I learned negotiation. I learned bullying. Very important skill. I learned how to get my way done, which is helping me now to run companies. All right? I learned the art of influencing people because when I'm a fielder, I would always like to be the fielder closer to the batsman. If somebody puts me way out in the boundary, I wouldn't go because I know I am far away from the batsman, which means I can't run from there and take my turn again. Which means I influence, particularly my girlfriends back then. I would influence them and say, you know what, you're supporting the sport. Why don't you stand there, far away, and when the ball comes there, you can pick it, right? And that's called influencing skills, right? And a lot of these, it's important to try and name them, by the way, yeah? And that's why it's important to understand how digital natives are. They are coming up with something called as screen-based learning. It is not play-based learning, it is screen-based learning. And when there is screen-based learning in play, none of these come out to the fore. You are so easily going online and saying, oh my God, you're fat. It doesn't matter. You can actually make that statement as a comment because nothing's going to happen to you. You are not realizing what is happening to the other person because you're not even seeing him. But if, oh, by the way, my box just opened up, which means my timer is done. All right. So you're not even seeing the emotions of the other person. When you don't see the emotions of the other person, that means you don't let your emotions play out. And if you don't let your emotions play out, there is no learning in the process at all. I still am debating why it's called screen-based learning. It must be called screen-based pastime. You're passing your time until you age, to a point where you have to meet Krishnan for investments. All right. So, unfortunately, another point I want to touch before I call it off is we don't have role models. We did a study with about 600 schools back in India, spread across different categories, rural, urban, all kinds of schools. Met up with over 1,500 students, got an NGO to do this work, and asked all the students, why do you go to the phones? And majority of them came up with a surprising answer. When I go back home, everybody's on the phone. If someone tells me, how can I live life without being on the phone, maybe I can try it out. And we asked the kids, what about your parents? Well, they're on phones. The father is on the phone while eating. The mother is watching YouTube and preparing food, by the way, because her favorite cook came up with a new recipe. Right? So now what? So the kid is sitting there wondering what to do. Most of the time, the parents goes out to partying. The kid is given the phone, and I call it a digital babysitter. Because you hand off a screen to the child keeps quiet. That is sad. Okay? And it couldn't get any more serious than this. We are coming up with a generation for which we're going to have to build many more healthcare conferences like this because all these kids are going to fall sick pretty soon in their lives because they just are not aware of what it means to get out there and be there, whether it is mental sickness or physical sickness, either ways, right? Every time I talk about this topic and I show the detox box to people and I put the phone inside, there's always laughter around me. And I like it. Yesterday I was telling this to someone that when we laugh, we don't do anything about it. Somehow, we don't do much about it because we laugh it off, right? So that gentleman corrected me and he said, no, this is not laughter out of joy. This is the laughter out of my nervousness and anxiety. That, my God, this is so true. What am I supposed to do, right? I have a lot more to talk about. I have very little time. Sprian is the booth. We are right outside here. You can come and meet me. There are lots of products that we can show you how to break this habit and how you could try to live life beyond screens In fact, I should change the motto after this conference. I should be saying, live life, no, sorry, leave screens because there is life. Something like that, yeah. All right, so I'm just gonna take 2 minutes for questions, if that's all right. Anybody has any questions? You can ask without the mic. You don't have to walk up there, Krishnan, and just ask me. Unless you want to be on social media. All right.
Well, I'm a loudmouth, but not loud enough for everyone to hear, because I believe my question is relevant.
Okay.
We attributed credit to Mark Zuckerberg for 61% social media, Facebook, dating, etc. I see teenagers, 20-year-olds,
Yeah.
out in a fancy restaurant, and both of them are looking at the phone. Why couldn't they just do a takeout and eat it at home and not waste their money? You come to a restaurant, enjoy the ambience, the culture, compliment the staff, which I often do, oh my God, your smile made the food taste better.
Yeah.
Which it really does, because
Yeah.
my attitude goes up.
Yes,
and
yes, yes.
they just look at the stupid bloody phone, forgive
Yes.
my language, and eat like how those parents were doing in front of their child.
Yeah.
So thank you, sir. That was amazing, that parents not being a role model.
Yeah.
And I think that's the greatest tragedy of today.
More than to just add on to that, Mr. Krishnan, a lot of people that we are talking today with, they bring their child. We work with NIMHANS, we work with a lot of clinics on this. They bring their child. The problem is never with the child. The problem is with the parent. So we started the firm to help children get away from screen time, and now we are ending up with helping adults get away from screen time. Because that's the only way the child is going to learn. Child never learns by telling him what to do, but you got to show him. Unfortunately, that's the case. And to your point of restaurants and all of that, Mr. Wood spoke to us about something similar, where you could put these detox boxes in restaurants and get people to put their phones inside and give them a discount.
That's an awesome idea. And you talked about this. Dogs. I
Yeah.
don't know how many of you have trained dogs. The dog is never trained. You are trained on how to work with the dog.
Absolutely.
That's what we are reducing with our children.
I love that. With your permission, I'm going to use that for my next talk.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And you said, are you from Bangalore?
Yes.
Confession. I lived close to Bangalore. I studied in Bangalore at the Institute of Management. He said NIMHANS, which is a very, very important institution. It's National Institute for Mental Health
Yes. And
NIMHANS,
sciences.
and Sciences.
Yeah.
That is more desperately needed today than ever before, because I see 11, 12-year-old children saying how stressed out and depressed they are.
Yeah. And they get those words from social media.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Sultan.
Okay. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Two. Thank you, Mr. Sri, for this presentation. I have a question which is related, I think, to all of us. So, you know, there is a problem in children because of the clip thinking. You know, they are scrolling TikTok, they're scrolling Reels, and there is a problem of memorization, because they don't.
Oh, yeah.
They cannot memorize things.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, the huge problem in education,
Yes.
actually. And is there maybe any way how to be a good learner with like very small memory? You know.
So
how we can help our children, our maybe little brothers, sisters, in
so
education.
we are a sum total of all the memories that our brain makes. We are nothing but memories. If someone comes and takes away my memory, Srihari doesn't exist anymore. Right? It's so true, because that's the only thing that keeps us going, right? So there is no way you can learn if you can't memorize. That's a short answer.
Okay.
Yeah, you cannot. You just cannot, because you can't put everything up in a diary and suddenly lose the diary, and then what? You lost internet connection, and then what? It's like the Legend movie where everything goes down, a single man is alive. Could you build a car? Okay, let's not talk about a car. Could you build a fan? Okay, let's not even talk about the fan. Do you know how a lock works in the door?
No.
Do you know how the key works? Do you know what the ridges in the key means? Do you know why every key has... Nah. We're going far, far away, and we are embracing professions that are far, far away from fundamental sciences today. Far away. I even heard radio jockey is a profession. I thought it was a hobby. And then I met a gentleman in an event the other day. Oh, this is my full-time job. Oh, I was shocked. I said, I thought you guys are just doing it for a year and then, you finish your college studies and do something else. No. He even alluded to me there is a certification in radio jockey. I'm not, with no offense, guys. Sorry. I didn't mean, if there are radio jockeys here, I just don't mean any offense at all. But all that I'm trying to prove and say is things that are getting glorified today, we need to change the subject of glorification. We need to glorify people that are standing up and doing the right thing for themselves, not for social media. It's a tough ask.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, Heather. Yeah. 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 Yes. Yeah. So the only thing that has seemed to work, Heather, is starting things at home. I don't have a better answer for this. We've dealt with so many corporates. You cannot make them not do something at office and go back home constantly sitting on the phone. Just doesn't work. It's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So you're promoting dual personalities, which again, some doctor will be very glad to treat later. But end of the day, we cannot have two personalities at all. So all that corporates are trying to do is to prove a point for just those 6 to 8 hours the employees spend the time with them. But in return, the guys go back to phones so much when they go back home because they couldn't see it at office. So it's a fundamental thing. We're always asking people to change it from home. Start the activity from home. The detox box works miracles. There are 4 times in the day when you accumulate screen time. Before you go to sleep, after you get up from sleep, when you're literally crapping. How many of you take the phone into the bathrooms? Yeah, okay. All of you do. It is. It is bad. It is terribly bad. On an average, you're increasing your crapping time by 60% because you're waiting for the next scroll. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You're right. You're right. Just for those of you that didn't hear, Krishnan said the crap you read makes the real crapping worse. Yeah. So, and some doctor told me about RA issues because of extended periods of sitting in the commode, and those RA issues are coming because these people are watching the phones, so they are keen to respond one by one. Yes. Yeah.
I'm sorry I missed the beginning of your talk because I had an interview, but I'm glad I caught the key messages at the end.
Yeah.
And for my own message, this is why collaborations are important. And
Absolutely.
what you're saying here, we say in our business, where are the role models?
Yeah.
The role models teaching the children how to manage their stress and anxiety, which incidentally is fueled by the telephones.
Yes.
Who buys the telephone? The
Yeah.
parents. And we've seen it many a time in restaurants, all sitting around the table, and I say, where's the social interaction going on here? Right? They don't know
Yeah.
how to socialize. You're
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
But if we're going to change the world for the children, adults have to stand up
Yes.
and look in the mirror and say, what am I doing
Yeah.
to inspire my child or the children I teach?
Yes.
how to live their best life. Because become antisocial with the phone.
Yeah.
How do mum and dad deal with their stress? They get angry, they throw their fists around, they swear.
Yes.
They switch off from the rest of the world. They drink, they eat, they take drugs. We've seen it all. And so I think it's a fantastic mission that you are on.
Yep.
And I hope we can talk about collaborating, because the children need us
Yes.
more than they ever did.
Yep. And I'm actually starting in a very small way, because the last 3 years have taught me that adults won't listen. I mean, right now I have people on the phones right now, right? It is never gonna work for them, because somehow their rational brain wakes up to defend themselves. Their rational brain doesn't wake up to understand the problem, but it wakes up to defend themselves, to say, hey, if I don't look at the phone, maybe a patient will die. Come on. It's never happened before. It's never going to happen now. But anyway, coming to that point, what we're trying to start is a very small objective of saying that we want 1 million people to keep their phones outside their bedroom. That's a start. So I'm just going to launch a website and get people to pledge to that and say, guys, keep your phones outside your bedroom, because yesterday also we were talking about the importance of sleep. And you are completely taking away the quality of sleep when you're on the screen before going to sleep, and you get back on the screen just right after you wake up. And even worse, charging it right next to your head.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's breaking the mold.
Yeah.
And absolutely, there are ears switched off.
Yeah.
And we all need to open our minds and think about the next generation.
Yes.
And become an inspiration for the next generation.
Absolutely.
By leading with example.
I love that.
Thank you.
Love that. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Yes. 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 Yeah. No watches anymore, yeah? Yeah. Yeah. It's a computer. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. I agree. There was once upon a time, there was a toy invented by the Chinese. It was called, whatever it was called. The toy would talk to you. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, get it. Yeah. Yes,
Hi.
Captain.
Hi.
We'll do the last one and I'll pass it on. Yeah.
Yeah. Morning, Srihari. I must compliment, I think, everyone who joined me in giving congratulations to you in a brilliant talk.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you. So my question is, as far as social media, etc. is concerned, why does it appeal to us? It's very vividly brought out by Yuval Noah Harari in his book, Homo Sapiens, where he talks about this concept of objective and subjective realities and mass communication, etc., like social media coming in at intersubjective realities.
Yes.
So no matter what you do, there is a significant amount of appeal there.
Yes.
That's definitely there. So there's going to be a pull.
Yes.
I personally feel that if you only address the problem of not accessing it, the pull continues to remain.
Yes.
That's one thing. And another thing I want to relate to this is something like the concept of global warming.
Yeah.
You know, in the early 1900s, when petrochemicals were discovered and cars went out, and nobody bothered about global warming till 2010 probably.
Yeah.
Till the first Rio conference, 110-year past.
Yeah.
It was staring us in the eye, but nobody bothered about it. But here, when it's affecting the next generation much more that is ever going to affect us, the problem is going to be that much more snowballing,
Yes.
a lot more magnified.
Yes.
So I personally feel great companies, private companies like yours who are coming to this space can do a great thing.
Yeah.
But I personally feel there has to be regulatory compliance and frameworks
Absolutely.
as far as uploading content on social media is concerned. Because as of now, if you start regulating it, it becomes a problem against free speech.
Yes. Yes, you're right.
So governments have to be, we have to now make a movement where governments have to probably non-incentivize a part of the portion of content that is being uploaded on these documents, on these websites, and therefore over the long term reduce the your
Yeah,
exposure
yeah.
towards it.
Absolutely, absolutely, Captain. I think the policy changes are quite essential. This is the sad truth is everywhere I go, I'm alone. I don't get support.
I know.
Because the person that's supposed to support is on the phone. So it is the reality of the day. But I'm doing what I can to raise awareness.
I think you're
And-
doing a brilliant work.
And that's it.
Really, really good work.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Continue doing good work.
Yeah,
Thanks.
will do. Will do. All right. So the organizers are going to beat me up. Thanks a lot.